The night she whispered those words, I thought it was arrogance. I thought it was power. I thought it was another cruel reminder that I was just an employee and she was the untouchable CEO of a billion-dollar empire. Take me home or you're fired. Her voice wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was barely a breath against the noise of the corporate gala behind us. Crystal chandeliers glowed above the ballroom. Champagne glasses clinked. Investors laughed, but none of that mattered in that moment, because she wasn't looking at the crowd. She was looking at me. Ava Sinclair, Ice Queen of Manhattan, the woman whose signature could build companies or destroy them overnight. She never smiled in meetings, never showed weakness, never stayed past small talk. And yet there she was, heels in her hand, mascara slightly smudged, as darker than I had ever seen. I should have walked away. Everyone knew she was impossible, ruthless, calculated, a woman who fired executives for a single mistake. And I was just the operations manager who accidentally challenged her in a meeting 6 months ago, the only one who dared to disagree with her projections. Since that day, something shifted. She watched me differently, tested me, pushed me, promoted me, and now she was threatening to fire me. Is that in order, Miss Sinclair? I asked carefully. Her jaw tightened. For a second, I saw it, not anger, fear. If you don't, she whispered again, voice trembling just slightly, don't come to work tomorrow. It sounded like dominance, but it felt like desperation. I told myself this was a trap, a scandal waiting to explode. CEO leaves party with employee. Headlines would eat us alive. My career would end before it began. Yet when she swayed slightly, just slightly, my instincts overruled my logic. I took her home. The drive was silent. Manhattan lights blurred past the windshield like stars falling too fast. She stared out the window the entire time. No commands, no threats, no arrogance. Just silence. When we reached her penthouse, she didn't move. I don't want to go inside alone, she said finally. That wasn't a CEO speaking. That was a woman breaking. I hesitated at the doorway, but she stepped closer, close enough that I could smell her perfume. Softer than I expected, close enough that I noticed her hands shaking. Why me? I asked quietly. She laughed, but it cracked in the middle. Because you're the only one who doesn't look at me like I'm untouchable. Inside the penthouse, the city stretched endlessly beyond glass walls. Luxury everywhere, marble floors, abstract art, a life people would kill for. But it felt empty. She walked to the balcony and gripped the railing like it was the only thing holding her upright. They're voting tomorrow, she said. My chest tightened. A board. She nodded. They think I'm unstable, too aggressive, too emotional. They've been building a case for months. Suddenly everything made sense. The pressure, the late nights, the extra scrutiny. They want to replace me, she continued. And tonight was their final test. Cry, be charming, be perfect. Her mascara had smudged because she had been crying. Not from weakness, from exhaustion. And you passed, I said softly. She turned to me, eyes shining. No, I didn't. The room felt smaller. What do you mean? She stepped closer, vulnerability replacing every layer of steel she had built around herself. They don't just want control of the company, she whispered. They want control of me. The air changed. Tomorrow morning, she said, they'll offer me a deal. Step down quietly, or they release something. My stomach dropped. What something? She looked at me like she was deciding whether to jump off a cliff. Photos, messages, and narrative they created. That I'm manipulating employees. That I'd been inappropriate with staff. My blood ran cold. With who? I asked. Her eyes locked onto mine. The silence answered everything. It hit me all at once. The promotions, the late meetings, the way she defended me in front of executives. They're going to say it was you, she said, voice breaking completely now. That I pressured you, that I threatened your job. My heart pounded violently. Which I technically just did, but now I understood. She hadn't whispered, take me home or you're fired as a threat. She whispered it because cameras were watching. Because someone needed footage of her being dominant. Because she was being set up. And she chose me, the only person she trusted, to survive it. They're forcing you into this narrative, I said. She nodded. And if I fight back, they'll drag you down with me. The weight of it crushed the room. For the first time in her powerful, controlled life, Ava Sinclair looked terrified. And she wasn't begging for a ride home. She was begging not to be alone when her empire collapsed. The next morning, I walked into the boardroom before she did. I wasn't supposed to be there, just a mid-level employee in a room full of sharks, but I carried something they didn't expect. The IT director owed me a favor, and the so-called evidence they planned to use. I had already seen it. Edited footage, cropped messages, manufactured timing. When the board began their speech about concerns regarding executive conduct, I stood up. My hands were shaking, but not from fear, from certainty. I connected my laptop to the screen and played the full, uncut recordings. Every manipulated frame corrected, every lie exposed. The room shifted, faces went pale. One board member walked out before it finished. Ava stepped in halfway through, confusion turning into shock as she realized what I had done. When silence finally settled, the chairman cleared his throat and muttered something about misunderstandings. By noon, 2 board members had resigned. By evening, she still had her company. But that wasn't the twist. The real twist happened later that night, when she showed up at my apartment. No heels, no makeup, no CEO mask, just Ava. "You saved my empire," she said softly. I shook my head. "No, I just told the truth." She stepped closer, eyes no longer filled with fear, but something warmer, something braver. "Then let me tell you one too," she whispered. "I didn't choose you because you were safe. I chose you because losing you would have hurt more than losing the company." And that's when I realized she was never begging for protection. She was risking everything for love.